So this is every episode of Breaking Bad, and it was, I
How did
guess.
this geeky-looking dad in his saggy underpants become the biggest badass TV hero ever? Well, here's every single episode of Breaking Bad in one video to explain how. Here we go.
Best
Season
TV
one,
series ever made.
Walter starts as an unfulfilled man. He teaches chemistry to a bunch of students who don't want to learn. They'd rather be wrapping tongues than wrapping their heads around how flames can change colour using Walter's magical mist. Walter works 2 jobs just so he can pay for his mediocre house. A house which needs a new boiler, his family can only afford fake bacon, and the overdue bills are piling up. But even more tragically, his glove box is repairing. He sees on the news that uneducated gangsters can use chemistry to make meth and make a tidy profit. So suddenly he forms an idea about how he, as an educated chemistry teacher, can earn a crazy amount of profit by taking another shift in the car wash. Turns out this was one shift too many as he starts coughing to death.
He's having a stroke or something.
Grim Reaper. He's not dying just yet. The doctor's given him another 2 years before his lung cancer kills him.
Understood what I've just said to you.
Got the cancer.
Lung cancer. Inoperable.
So what's the guy going to do now? Well, the car wash job isn't very fulfilling, so screw doing that anymore. Walter wants some of that sweet meth money, and he knows just the guy to show him how the meth business works. His brother-in-law, Hank, who works for the Drug Enforcement Agency. While watching his first drug bust, Walter notices an old student running away from the crime scene, Jesse Pinkman. So Walter goes to his house and says, "Yo, yo, yo, you looking for a new chef? I can help you out.
It's only plan.
Dope-ass meth." And blown away by his fresh rhymes, Jesse agrees to go into business. They purchase an RV using the last of Walter's life savings so they can go cook in a place far from home. We see the dynamic of Jesse having a chill time cooking meth and Walter wanting everything done properly so that his product stands out from the trash in circulation. Jesse brings along one of his connections so they can make a deal. But one guy recognises Walter from the earlier drug bust and suspects he's working with the DEA. So they're about to shoot them both, but Walter says if he spares them, he will teach them how to cook better quality batches. Bitches. Little did these rookies know, Walter knows how to create a toxic gas explosion with red phosphorus.
Big brain.
So with 2 lifeless bodies slapping about in the back,
he just killed 2 people. That's crazy.
Walter flees the scene of a murder he committed and a fire. In his state of panic, he crashes the RV and assumes the incoming sirens are going to take him away. Yeah, not before I take myself to heaven, I imagine he said internally as he pulls the trigger. Fortunately for him, the safety on the gun was on, and double lucky for him, the sirens are just
the guy loses everything.
He goes home with a proud erection and shares his glory with his wife Skylar.
Oh my!
Episode 2. Jesse rings Walter to stress they have one body to deal with and another body which isn't quite dead yet, and Walter decides to go to work instead of helping Jesse handle the situation. Meanwhile, the zombified drug dealer has escaped the RV and Walter sees him wandering the streets as he finally goes to Jesse's house.
Hey, you! Hey, listen.
Running away.
And they proceed to padlock him to a pole in Jesse's basement. They flip a coin to decide who is going to deal with the dead body and who is going to make one more. It doesn't go very well at the start because Jesse can't find the right type of plastic tub to dissolve a body in. And instead of killing the other guy in the basement, Walter makes him a sandwich. The episode ends with Jesse deciding to use a standard ceramic bathtub to melt the body down. But the acid eats right through the tub and the floors below,
there's a
creating one of the most disgustingly funny scenes in the entire show.
Yep. All of them everywhere.
I'm sorry, what were you asking me? Oh, yes. That stupid plastic container I asked you to buy.
Actually, placing in a bathtub with acid.
Episode 3. Walter still hasn't killed zombie guy locked up in the basement, and is instead delaying the inevitable because he's trying to think of another way to solve the problem. He then does the silliest thing you could do in that situation by getting friendly with him. He learns that his street name is Crazy 8, but his actual name
Getting
is
emotional
Mango. So
with
now the
him.
problem is this guy is no longer a nameless thug to you, he's your basement buddy. So now your killing's gonna feel personal. If you want me to be your
This
basement
kill is
buddy,
vicious.
comment down below and we'll get talking. You may have noticed by now that I'm skipping over certain details like Skylar being suspicious of Walter's phone call, but if I went over every single plot detail, there would be zero reason for you to watch Breaking Bad yourself.
Okay.
And also it makes for better pacing for this video, which we're gonna get back on track with now. Walter strangles Crazy 8 to death using a bike lock, and we say goodbye to a short-lived but decent enough character.
This is
While
second
Walter was getting
mother.
crazy good mates with Crazy 8, Hank was investigating the crime scene where the fire was put out. He sees Crazy 8's car was left behind,
the
and
gas
we see Hank
marks.
start to pick up the puzzle pieces. It's going to take Hank 5 seasons to pick up all of the puzzle pieces, but the resulting picture is worth the wait. Episode 4. Walter reveals that he has cancer to his
Yeah, it's
family
actually
in a well-acted, somber scene. Not
pretty good
many
episode
actors
right
can
there.
do a convincing cry, but Anna Gunn nailed this scene.
Ask him.
I have cancer.
There's not a ton of plot progression in this episode, it's mainly about character development. Walter is silently pulling away from discussions on chemotherapy and just wanting to be his own man. Jesse goes home and we see how his family has basically disowned him for being a dopey dropout. And yeah, it's a cool episode, but there's not much plot here for me to joke about, so episode 5.
Oh, maybe it's not
Jesse
episode
is
4
looking for
again.
a job since his project with Walter
I
was a
forgot.
disastrous failure.
It's a long time
and he bumps
ago.
into his friend Badger.
Cause I'm on probation, yo. Gotta prove to the man I'm rehabilitated.
Everyone loves Badger. Jesse and Badger team up to try and recreate the same meth that Walt did, but Jesse realises he can't measure up without
And
Walt's help.
when Walter comes
Meanwhile,
out
Walter's at a birthday
so with
party
the
for his old
explosion
business
and all.
partner, Elliot Schwartz, who is now a massively successful something science. Elliot offers him a high-paying job, but again Walter sheepishly retracts from the idea because deep down he wants to be his own badass independent man. Walt gets an intervention where his family tries to convince him to get treatment.
You're a pussy.
Yeah, this scene is pretty great, but it's killing my mood, so let's skip to the part where Walter stops being stubborn and agrees to do the treatment and be the man his family want him to be, with a little bit of being a meth chef on the side. That's right, he wants back in, baby.
when is accepting the help?
Episode 6. Hank is sniffing around Walter's school laboratory because he found a mask that came from the equipment room there, and instead of suspecting the chemistry teacher being behind this new batch of chemically pure meth in circulation, he pins it on the kind-hearted Mexican janitor
Oh no.
because after a background check
Not
they
this
discovered
guy.
criminal activity. And so here we see the first wave of collateral damage caused by Walt's meth.
It's just sad.
Walter's evolution into his persona Heisenberg begins to take
Uh-oh,
form as
here
he
comes.
shaves off his hair, which because of the cancer and stuff, it was beginning to fall out anyway. Jesse tries to strike a deal with a notoriously unhinged distributor called Tuco.
His performance is amazing.
Who then beats the living piss out of Jesse when he asks for his money. Walter, enraged by his partner's beating, fully becomes Heisenberg and pays Tuco a visit himself. He demonstrates his chemistry powers by blowing up a rock of fulminated mercury.
This is not meth.
Listen, it's my favorite episode ever. He just calmly walks out.
Episode 7. Hiding in plain sight, Heisenberg attends a PTA meeting. He wants to
Episode
take his
6
mind
is the
off
best
fact
one.
He unintentionally got the janitor arrested, so he starts fingering his wife. A classic old school move which pulls Skylar's attention from the meeting and lessening her chances of being involved in the discussion. Next day, Heisenberg and Jesse meet up to trade with Tuco, who now respects Heisenberg as a fellow crazy person, and they make a deal to deliver double the amount of meth next time, even though Jesse knows Tuco will kill them if they fail to deliver, and yet Heisenberg doesn't care because he's gonna die anyway. And also, he's certain that they can make enough if they source
He
their
knows
own
everything, so
ingredients. Firstly, they need to steal some etch-a-sketches
he
from
doesn't
the
care about
prime
anything at
to
all.
make thermite. Then they can use the thermite to burn through a security door and steal a barrel full of yummy methylamine. The product they end up making with these ingredients is the show's iconic blue-coloured meth, and Tuco loves it, and he wants more.
Ah, tight, yeah! Blue, yellow, pink! Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that.
Tuco then beats his bodyguard into a pile of mashed potatoes to
absolutely.
demonstrate that he's not the
Going
kind of
crazy.
man you want to disappoint.
Damn, man, look at that, look! Whew.
So
Right.
that's series 1 done, but here's a few questions you may have. Question 1, why is Skylar so fat? Well, she's actually pregnant, and you would have known that if I had remembered to tell you. Question 2, isn't Skylar suspicious about Heisenberg's lengthy absences? The answer is yes, but he tells her that he's going to alternative healing classes and also to mind your own damn business.
Okay.
That cow. Season 2,
It's a lot,
Episode
but-
1. $737,000. That's how much Heisenberg has estimated he will need before he can quit his new business venture. And I'm sure that's
It's on.
exactly what will happen.
Money will
There
plan out
be
and all.
zero hiccups in this solid plan. Ah crap, Tuco killed a guy. So now there's another dead body involved. Oh no, now Hank is looking at CCTV footage and he suspects a scientist is involved because he used thermite. Oh no, oh come on, now both of Tuco's bodyguards are dead. Well, as long as Tuco doesn't end up holding us up at gunpoint. Oh no. Well, that was a horrible start to the season. Next episode. Episode 2. Hank is hunting down Tuco as his fingerprints
And
were
he had to
lifted from
keep
the dead
the
bodyguard. I'm
it
fairly
then,
certain they
so
just checked his face.
episode
they would
1
have
is
found
really
a
wild.
fist print. Skylar reports Heisenberg as missing, but neither Skylar or Hank realise these two cases are connected. Tuco is currently holding them at his weird uncle's house, who can basically do bugger all except ding a bell. We can come back to him later because
he does his
he's
shit.
not going anywhere fast. That joke was very poor taste. Realising that Tuco will most likely kill them, Heisenberg sneakily puts some poison into his burrito, but Senor Ding Dong dings his little bell to
He
alert
knows.
Tuco to the mischief.
What are you telling me, Theo? Huh? Are they punking me?
So Tuco goes mental and takes them outside for a good old-fashioned
And
execution.
this way he
But
dies, right?
Jesse counters with a rock smash. Tuco ends up being shot in the tummy. Hank arrives on scene, so Heisenberg and Jesse hide behind
shut
some
up, no.
barrels. This way they get to watch Hank shoot Tuco dead. Episode 3.
Nice.
Heisenberg comes up with an idea to strip down naked so that when he ends up in hospital after a
Yeah.
fugue state, his family will likely believe this rationale for why he's been missing. Meanwhile, Jesse's been taken in for questioning by the DEA because they found his car at Tuco's shootout scene. They bring in Senor Ding Dong, who we learn is an OG drug lord, and instead of ratting out Jesse, who he hates, he craps his pants when questioned by the DEA, who he hates even more.
This scene.
When Heisenberg gets home,
Yes,
Skylar
darling.
finds it hard to pretend that she can trust him, after Hank told her that he likely has a second cell phone that he uses. Skylar said she saw him using his phone before he disappeared, but the phone records are blank upon investigation. So with this suspicion, she acts like a cold bitch for the next couple of episodes, but honestly, who can blame her? Episode 4. This episode mainly focuses on Jesse, and man is it a downer. His parents kick him out of his auntie's home where
Oh,
he
no.
was staying after she died. His bike then gets stolen, and the only thing he has left is the RV, which is currently in an impound with all his cooking equipment. He could just go get it back, but he owes this guy a lot of money who agreed to hide his RV in the lot. With nowhere to go, he climbs over a barbed wire fence
Yeah,
and falls
this is
into the water.
Abira.
He ends the night
Yes, it's
crying,
disgusting.
covered in crap, and laying on some cardboard. Oh, Jesse, you poor boy. Next morning, he urges Heisenberg to give him his money that he's owed from the last deal, but they disagree on the amount that is owed and they scuffle. And then they kiss a little and make up afterwards. Episode 5.
Nice.
Jesse gets a new place, meets a hot goth girl, and he's back in business cooking with
God,
Heisenberg.
God.
He's also enlisted a small crew to sell their products so they don't have to do business with another crazy distributor until later in the series.
Oh,
Hank is having
This
PTSD
guy.
about killing Tuco, and that also comes into play later. Episode 6. This is a really
Peekaboo.
uncomfortable but overall great episode. Jesse confronts two
oh,
skanky...
those are
Stop calling me that!
Okay then, two
It's
human-sized
actually
typical
disturbing.
Westerners who stole product from Jesse's crew member Skinny Pete.
by the
You can
bending
see
machine
Jesse show kindness towards the junkie's kid, who clearly needs to be put into care because these two are more concerned with breaking into ATMs and getting their fix than they are giving their own kid a wash. Well, this is killing my comedy vibes. Let's skip to the scene where Skank Woman pushes the ATM onto Skank Man's head.
Absolutely crazy.
Cold Chevron. Skylar gets her old job back with the impression that she's doing it to help fund Heisenberg's treatment, but she may as well be carrying a huntsman rifle because it's painfully obvious she's after this silver fox.
Oh.
Hank also gets a temporary job promotion working in El Paso, but he soon finds it too much and wants to go back home. I think I'd feel the same way if I saw Danny Trejo's head on a tortoise.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to
It's just slapping.
Episode 8. Badger gets busted by the DEA, so Jesse recommends that they should hire a shady lawyer, as this will probably happen more times in their future if they plan to grow the business. And they're going to need him on board
Better Call
quick
Saul has
because
his
Hank
own
has already
TV series,
transferred back to his old job, and
Which
he's
was
soon
that
going to be
one.
badgering Badger for answers. The lawyer Saul Goodman tells Heisenberg that there's no deal where Badger won't be talking to the DEA, so they give Saul a gentle push to come up with some other options by threatening to murder him.
Jimmy in and out. City, state, and federal, he's spent 44 of the last 58 years inside. Jimmy provides a very special service. For a price, Jimmy will go to prison for you. Cops bust Jimmy, Badger gets out, everybody's happy, and all it's going to cost you is $80,000
Money can do.
pound of your finest meth.
Saul Goodman may be slimier than an expired packet of ham, but he's smarter than the average sausage. Episode 9. Heisenberg says he's going to visit his mum for a few days, but that's a lie, so he can sit with Jesse. They get home just in time for Heisenberg's checkup with the doctor, and he says your cancer is almost all gone. He punches a towel dispenser in the bathroom, feeling a range of emotions that I'm not smart enough to interpret. I just sit here like, oh wow, that Heisenberg sure is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Episode 10. Here we start to see Heisenberg become completely unhinged, almost like the power is making him act like the next Tuco. This episode is all about control. If Hank says his son can't drink, Heisenberg says yes he can.
Hey,
Oh. He can't drink.
the bottle. Back.
If he sees another cook trying to set up shop, Heisenberg says, stay out of my territory. Oh, and also Skylar's being
Nice.
teased by presenting her blouse bunnies to a hungry silver fox. So we can only imagine where this is going to end up.
This guy.
Episode 11. Combo gets shot. Skinny Pete says I'm out, and so that's all of Jesse's crew out of the picture for now. Saul advises them to use a professional distributor this time and not some lunatic. So they go find Gus Fring, the owner of a chicken shop chain and also a lunatic. But they don't know that yet. He just seems like a cautious businessman. Jesse misses the important meetup because he's busy doing hard drugs with his now girlfriend Jane. Meanwhile, Skylar is going through his financial records and discovers he's basically committing tax fraud. And that will play a part later in the story, but that's going to have to wait because Skylar's about to plop out a baby.
Baby.
Episode 12. Welcome, baby Holly, to the family. I'm sure you'll grow up without any problems in life. Your mother only smoked a little bit during pregnancy, your dad has a very stable job, and your uncle Jesse will be a wonderful influence. Yeah, I found this picture online and I had to find a way to incorporate it into the video. It's just too precious to pass up. Walter Jr., Heisenberg's son, who I've neglected to mention up until now, has set up a charity page to help his dad. That's really sweet, thanks son. How can I use this charity page to aid my meth business? I know, says Saul. Let's take your son's hard work and crap all over it by using it as a way to launder your money. Wahahaha, great idea, Saul. Yeah, frick my son, I hate that guy. Later, Heisenberg goes to Jesse's house and finds his girlfriend overdosing. But instead of saving her life, he believes it's better for her to be out of the picture. She's really crushing their bro time vibe, so she's got to be out of here now. Episode 13. This season has been teasing an event that's going to happen, where all we see at the start of each episode is the evidence of an explosion with this creepy looking half-scorched bear. Well, here's what happens. After Heisenberg allowed Jane to overdose and die, he went to a bar and drank with a man who we know to be Jane's dad. Jane's dad is an air traffic controller and kind of loses his mind after losing his disappointing daughter. So he deliberately crashes two planes together and we see at the end of the episode.
Okay. That meme with shyness.
Sandwiched in between this storyline of events, we have Jesse who is struggling to cope with the loss of his girlfriend, so Saul sends in his henchman and all-round awesome tough guy, Mike Ehrmantraut, who slaps Jesse back into focus and cleans up his mess. We also see a short glimpse of Gus Fring's influence on the community, helping the DEA to raise drug awareness.
Yes, a nice guy, huh?
Along those lines. Either way, he's just like Heisenberg in the sense that he's able to hide in plain sight. But it seems Heisenberg isn't as well trained in this practice as Skylar's bullshit detector is going off like crazy. She knows he has two phones for sure now because Heisenberg accidentally told her before going under for surgery.
Where's your phone? Your cell phone, did you bring it?
Which one?
She knows that he never went to see his mother, and she knows he's been paying for his treatment somehow. So Skylar says, you know what mate, I don't know what's going on, but I really don't want to be around you right now, so I'm going to see you next season. Season 3, Episode 1. This season we meet the most threatening villains who barely speak a single word throughout the series. Their mere presence is enough to make you crap yourself, and also their twins, which adds to the spookies. The twins are on their way to find Heisenberg, and we don't know why this is yet, but would it surprise you to learn that they're related to Tuco? Okay. Jesse goes to rehab to get clean, and Heisenberg reveals the truth to Skylar about what he does, because he realizes at this point that he needs to rebuild some trust with her.
You're a drug dealer. How else could you possibly make that kind of money? Cocaine?
Methamphetamine.
But at this point, she's on the brink of divorcing him and taking the kids away from him. So if anyone watching this is looking for a single drug lord sugar daddy, jump in quickly before Skylar comes crawling back. I've already got my wig and lipstick on, so the race is on, bitches. Episode 2. The episode opens with the song A Horse With No Name, and I think that's the only reason for the title. Oh, Heisenberg's been pulled over. Let's just focus on that. The cop was going to let him go with a citation because of his broken windscreen, but Heisenberg is who he is. So he causes a right flap and gets pepper sprayed.
Pepper spray the man who's expressing his opinion under the First Amendment!
Okay.
Meanwhile, the silent twins
Taka.
are en route to meet Senor Ding Dong, Hector Salamanca. To communicate with Hector, they use a Ouija board, which for some reason was in this care home. Seriously, what use would old people have for a Ouija board? They're about to die themselves, can't they just wait a few months to speak with ghosts? Well anyway, the twins use this Ouija board to find out who Heisenberg is.
Okay. The facial expressions.
Skylar is learning that Ted's illegal tax maneuvers are similar to Heisenberg's, being that they would both do anything to support their family. But she's still too sour to accept him and his large pizza back into the house.
Okay.
It's unbelievable, but apparently after this scene was aired, the real people living at this house were harassed by fans throwing pizzas onto their roof to try
Really?
to recreate the scene. I want to drop an ATM on my own head after reading that. What's wrong with people? There's a cool redemption story for Jesse in this
That
episode.
sucks.
He buys back the same house his parents kicked him out of, and he managed to buy it back at half the price with the help of Saul Goodman.
400,000? What is that, a joke?
No, that's my offer.
That's less than half price. Well, this is a waste of
How
time.
could you possibly imagine that we would entertain this?
Come on, honey.
I don't know. I just thought some allowance was in order once I heard about the meth lab.
The new owners are expected
Man.
at any moment. Where do you think you're going?
Inside. Bought the place.
Easy.
The spooky twins are about to axe murder Heisenberg, but then they get a message which basically tells them you can't kill them. And we'll find out why next episode. Episode 3. So this whole episode, Skylar is trying to remove Heisenberg from the house as he decided to return, with the rationale being, my name is on the mortgage, so F you, I live here. Meanwhile, at the chicken farm, the silent twins are silently disagreeing with the proposal that they don't kill Heisenberg yet. As Gus Fring puts it, when my business with Heisenberg is finished, you can do whatever you want to him. Yeah, they're probably not going to wait, are they? After police intervention and Skylar's bitching failed to get rid of Heisenberg, she tries one last punch in the gut by telling him,
I'm dead.
Episode 4. Hank is getting warmer finding fresh clues in the Heisenberg case,
Yeah,
tracking
what?
down the blue stuff to a gas
She's
station
sitting, I
girl
guess.
who just wanted to step up her party game. Using the CCTV from an ATM outside, he tracks down the type of RV Jesse is using. Wow, that's too many acronyms for one sentence. Heisenberg embarrasses himself by trying and failing to smash
Acronyms,
his
huh?
office.
Next time, you'll open the door.
His erratic behaviour has now led him to being kicked out of his teacher job. Well, great, now he has all the time in the world to go and cook meth, although he doesn't want to. In Heisenberg's absence from the kitchen, Jesse has cooked up a similar but inferior batch. Tensions start to grow between them.
This
Can't
is my
cook now.
product. This is my formula. This is mine.
Hey, you know what? Eat me.
Anytime, loser.
No, hey! Wait, hey!
To add fuel to the fire, Gus gives Heisenberg half
Going
the
away.
money, even though he had no part in cooking it.
Yo! Where's the other half, bitch?
At this point, we assume he's trying to coax Heisenberg back into the business so that the meth gets cooked correctly, while it's still associated with his name. Whew, episode 5. Gus sweetens the bait by giving Heisenberg his very own lab, secretly tucked away under an industrial laundry type place. So Heisenberg gives Jesse the other half of the money he wanted and tells him, "You're out of the game, buddy. Don't cook my meth, buddy, or else I'll tell on you." We also get a flashback where Jesse stole an RV instead of buying one, and instead spent
This
Heisenberg's
episode,
money on
if I
hookers.
install
Personally,
Happy.
I don't see why you would buy more than one hooker.
Hello?
You only have one penis after all. Just seems like you could reuse the same hooker and save yourself some money. Back to present times, Hank traces the RV to Combo's
wants to prank
mother,
guy.
who allows Hank to search his room where he finds this picture with Jesse. Episode 6. Heisenberg meets his new lab assistant, Gale, and he's a geek, so I was going to bully him and take his lunch money, but then I saw how he makes a perfect cup of delicious coffee.
Revenge for yourself.
Copy maker. Actually inspiring.
My God, that is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
This episode has its first intense scene of Heisenberg almost being caught when Hank follows Jesse to his RV. But the quick-witted junkyard owner cites his rights and stalls Hank from entering the RV.
I'm the owner of this lot, which means you're trespassing on private property. As far as the RV goes, it seems to me it's locked, which means you're trying to break it in.
protecting.
So I say again, you got a warrant?
Heisenberg then tells Saul's assistant to pretend to be a hospital, calling Hank to tell him his wife is in A&E.
Nice prank.
Absolute genius move. And if you want to see what a man looks like when he's about to murder a mofo, just check out Hank's expression here.
Marie?
I'm just checking in. I'd love to have some idea of whether I should cook dinner or not.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah. Hank. What's up?
Everything is too good.
Amazing. Meanwhile, in Gus's chicken shop, the silent twins are staring him down, pressuring him for an answer as to when they can kill Heisenberg. Meet me at sunset, Gus says. What, you couldn't give them an exact time? Are you just saying sunset to make it sound more dramatic? He again says they can't kill Heisenberg, but they can kill Hank instead. Hank is, after all, the one who shot
Hank.
so it does make more sense to kill him for their revenge plot. Episode 7. In this flashback where Twin 1 wishes Twin 2 was dead, Hector teaches them about family values by getting him to save his drowning brother.
This is actually psycho.
The episode mostly contains emotional conflict. Hank beating the living piss out of Jesse, Jesse giving a big man speech about how he's going to ruin his life and sue him, which he doesn't end up doing, but Hank still gets suspended. Oh yeah, then Hank gets shot by the silent twins.
Yeah, I don't think he died from
When he
that.
gets home, he finds Hector Salamanca dinging his bell as Marie pleasures him orally. Okay, so maybe that last thing didn't happen, but still just a real awful day for Hank. Jesse expresses how his life is basically ruined too, and it's all because of Heisenberg. And there's no way he's ever going to work with him ever again. How would you like $1.5 million? You son of a bitch, I'm in. Episode 8. Heisenberg gets rid of Gale because he's cramping his style, and Jesse is back in the game. Hank is fighting for his life, and one of the silent twins is also on his last legs. When Heisenberg comes to visit Hank, the DEA show him the hospitalized twin, and we get this awesome scene of the twins' determination to kill Heisenberg.
Getting insane.
I can't get a pulse back.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Still
1,
nothing.
2, 3. All right, stopping compressions. Time.
8:43.
Burn in hell, you piece of shit.
Episode 9. We get to see how the meth is distributed using buckets of chicken batter. It's a really great montage and a great way to open the episode. Jesse complains they're giving away too much product and not being paid enough for doing it. Heisenberg counters with the point that he's already a millionaire, so what's there to complain about? Jesse knows he won't
Millionaire.
so he secretly plans to store the excess meth, so he can then sell it on with Badger and Skinny Pete. Hank is beginning to recover, but his medical bills are too much for him and Marie to afford. Skylar tells them that
Heisenberg comes to rescue.
Oh shit, what are you doing, bitch? Yeah, he's rich because he's a casino gambler and he hit the big time. Marie buys the line. Heisenberg is blown away by her ability to make up a story on the spot. Something of which she's quick to remind him that she learned it from the best bullshitter in her life right now. Episode 10. The Fly is one
the
of those
Fly
episodes
is
that
pretty good.
divides fans. Many hate it, but I personally love it. It shows you
I mean,
the
who doesn't hate?
deranged obsessiveness that Heisenberg has when he wants to do something, and spends the
Why would
majority
anyone
of
hate
this
this?
episode trying to catch this fly.
It's amazing. They made all kind of memes on this one.
There's not a single thing about this episode that I don't like. It's directed by Ryan Johnson. This is the worst episode
haven't
of
seen
Breaking
that.
Bad. Jesse tries to convince him to ignore the fly and get cooking, but surprise, surprise, he won't budge. So Jesse puts some sleeping pills into his coffee, and just as he falls asleep, Jesse manages to swat the fly and then proceed to cook the meth himself. Episode 11. Jesse moves on to a new girl, Andrea, who at first he was going to bag so he could sell her some meth, but she's attractive so he falls for her quickly. And he later learns that her younger brother is the same
Oh
kid
no,
involved in
not the sun again. It's a poison
Quick
one.
editorial note. So notice that going frame by frame through combo shooting, you can actually see blood on his shirt just before he actually gets shot. So there's the gun shot, but there's the blood beforehand.
Man, no one going to see that.
Heisenberg has dinner around Gus's house, and Gus gives a
It's
subtle
too quick
warning
anyway.
that he is suspicious of Jesse's behaviour. Skylar is starting to become more involved in the business now, advising Heisenberg to purchase a car wash so they can launder their money in a way which raises less flags to the taxman. Episode 12. Jesse asks Heisenberg to help him take out the combo killer dealers, but he says nope. So Jesse goes to take them out on his own, but Mike and Gus's henchmen stop him before it goes down, and they bring him into a meeting. Turns out Heisenberg told Gus about Jesse's plan so that Gus could intervene before the conflict. To keep Jesse happy, he agrees that the kid brother of Andrea will be left out of future deals, and they shake on this agreement. But instead of giving the kid an early retirement with a gift basket for all of his years of service, they shoot him dead. Jesse takes this as go-ahead for murder time, and Heisenberg, realising what was about to go down, saves Jesse's life by running them both down himself.
Listen. Absolutely insane.
Run.
When this episode first came out, I almost clawed my skin off with anticipation waiting for the next episode. But luckily for you, the wait will be a matter of seconds. Episode 13. Gus is slowly realising the rash decision making that Heisenberg will do the second Jesse's life is on the line. Isn't he a sweet guy? Gus is about to kill Heisenberg, but then he says wait. What if we get rid of Jesse completely, because he's the liability and I'm the main chef anyway?
Oh really?
Gus says, okay then, but you have to cook with
checking
Gail.
it.
The next cooking day comes along, and Heisenberg is suspicious that Gail is asking so many questions about the process.
Any particular trick to purging the
You also know the ingredients.
No, it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you when we get there.
And whatever this guy's name is, the assistant that always looks pissed off. Oh, Victor. Victor seems to be taking a keen interest too, so Heisenberg believes he will be killed off and replaced. Sure enough, that same evening, Victor comes along and says there's a chemical leak, and you need to come down to this dark dungeon alleyway place and take a look.
Yeah, this
He might
scary.
as well be cocking a shotgun in front of Heisenberg at this point, because he knows what's about to go down. With some quick thinking, he asks to call Jesse, pretending that he will get Jesse to come down so they can shoot him instead. But he tells Jesse, go kill Gail quickly now.
Listen to me. We're closer than we are. I have about a 20-minute lead. They've got me at the laundry and they're going to kill me. Jesse, do it now! Do it, bitch! Do it! You might want to hold off. Yeah? Why? Because your boss is going to need me.
He actually kissed the guy
Poor
then.
old Gale doesn't know what's coming his way. He opens the door and Jesse's all shaky and shit. His gun veers off and you're left wondering if he's actually going to shoot him or not. But yeah.
Actually will
Oh my god, that's the end of Season 3. We're on the home stretch now, boys. Season 4, Episode 1. Hank is home from hospital and being a real arse to Marie for seemingly no reason other than he doesn't like having to poop in a bedpan. Yeah, I'm sure she's not entirely thrilled about this setup either. Maybe consider cutting the person who is willing to clean up your diarrhea some slack. Heisenberg and Jesse await Gus's return after they just killed their second best chef. Heisenberg argues that Gus wouldn't kill them because there's no one else who can cook the same meths to this quality, but then Victor demonstrates that he can follow the recipe even if he doesn't understand the chemistry. In the middle of Victor's showcase cook, Gus arrives and gets dressed for murder. But instead of killing Heisenberg and Jesse, he kills Victor.
He kills the other one, huh?
Go to work. We'll just pick up right where we left off.
Yes, that's insane.
Because he would have cooked inferior meth, wasting valuable chemicals to do so. But this also proves the point that loyalty means nothing to Gus. He will kill you without hesitation if it benefits the business. Episode 2. Heisenberg buys a gun in case he needs to pop a cap in
Jesus, bunch of psychopaths.
Jesse is still mentally affected from the last cap he popped in someone's arse. That does not sound good at all. So he's using the power of music to drown out the faults of arse cap popping. When that music idea doesn't do the trick, he resorts to hosting a never-ending party where he pays Badger and Skinny Pete to keep it afloat.
Keep this party going. I mean it, yo. I mean, I want this place kicking harder than a sensei when I get back.
Gus has a new guy watching over the cook,
Huh?
and the grumpy old troll Mike is making them measure their yield twice. Skylar attempts to buy the car wash from Bogdan, but Bogdan's pride is still damaged from Heisenberg's nut grab war dance. So his counter offer is $20 million or no sale. Now that's the ultimate nut grab war dance move. Unwilling to gaze upon his glorious balls, Skylar walks away from the deal for now. Episode 3. We get a bit of screen time to learn about Marie's compulsive kleptomania.
You're actually stealing,
to
right?
be interested in properties at open house events, so she can steal spoons and stuff. I am only mentioning this because the episode is called Open House, so now you know why. Skylar comes up with the idea to pay Bill Burr
He's
to pretend he's a groundwater inspector and falsely claim that Bogdan's car is polluting the grounds. And the expenses to clean it up are going to be more than the business is worth, so he reluctantly sells it for a reasonable price to the happy couple. Well, I say happy, but they're pretending to be happy for the sake of appearances. The word for this episode, children, is pretending. Hank is recovering well, but being all mopey about it, so Officer Friend comes in and offers him a case file to keep his mind occupied. It's the mysterious case of Gail's arse being popped with a cap, otherwise known as the Gap Whack Files. Episode 4. Heisenberg's happy family go to Hank and Marie's for a dinner party. Hank says, "Hey, do you want to laugh at somebody who's worse off than we are?" "Heck yeah," says the son with cerebral palsy. Lung cancer man pretends to find it funny, but inside he's dying because he has lung cancer. Hank picks his brains as a man of high-level chemistry to check that these are the notes of a meth cook, and also
Get on the toilet now.
WW. I mean, who you figure that is, huh? Walter White. Walter White. Walter White. Walter White.
Yes, teasing him.
Walter White.
You got me.
Jesse is playing Sonic All-Stars Races on
That's
Xbox
hilarious.
360 with a strung-out emo chick on a dirty bed. I'm sorry, is this episode called Jesse Goes to Heaven? While he's preoccupied, the forever watchful eyes of Mike caught one of the party pirates making a run for it with Jesse's bag of swag. And Jesse doesn't even seem to care. He just wants to spend his money and party.
Money!
Mike huffs
He gave
and
out,
says,
he gave out all
"How
the
can I reach
ownership or something.
Gus comes up with a plan. We'll
Just throw some money on the street now.
value of hard honest work by him helping Mike on his money drops. But Gus has a secret sneaky scheme up his sleeve, which we'll find out about probably next episode. Episode 5. Heisenberg is concerned when his boy Jesse doesn't turn up the next day for a cook, but Mike says chill out bro, he's with me, and he's not going to be your sous chef for a while. After a full day of hard labour on his own, he goes home to sign some papers to make the car wash purchase official. And before he washes away his cooking sweats from his body, he decides to add Skylar's body sweat on top of it. Oh boy, this complicates things. Jesse is waiting in the car while Mike collects a drop, and he sees some suspicious men approaching from behind. He slams the car into reverse, almost killing them. Which would be fine, but these men have actually been paid off by Mike and Gus so Jesse can feel like a hero and get his mind back into the meth game and out of the Sonic All-Stars racing game. But what if he accidentally did kill them? Wouldn't that send Jesse back into his trauma spiral? Hank is looking at the crime scene photos and wonders why a vegan would have a piece of paper from a fried chicken shop.
Since when do vegans eat fried
Los
chicken?
Polos.
Episode 6. Skylar feels that Heisenberg is losing it after he drunkenly convinced Hank that Gail probably wasn't smart enough to make this high grade of meth. You absolute spanner. She says just give it up, you're in over your head and you're gonna end up putting yourself in danger. And this is where we get the classic line,
I am not in danger, Skylar.
I am the dancer.
There is another amazing moment in this episode, but it didn't get the same attention as the danger thing. It's when Heisenberg takes the car wash from Bogdan, and when Bogdan tries to leave with his framed dollar bill, the first dollar he ever made in this business, Heisenberg says, nope, that's mine. Technically that framed dollar bill is my property now, and he just coldly smashes it, and then uses that dollar to buy a refreshing can of Coca-Cola. That's right, frick your feet.
Nice dude.
Skylar hasn't come back home
Oh,
since
damn.
Heisenberg flew off the handle,
Get
and
there.
Jr. is now realising he needs to pick a side. Daddy then buys him a nice car, so that's his allegiance sorted.
I'm glad you like it.
I do. Thank you, Dad.
Skylar is rightly concerned that the IRS are going to be suspicious of this purchase.
This whole thing is damn suspicious.
So now Skylar's going to look like the bad guy when she says the car has to go back. It's really hard to not side with Skylar at this point, even though she's kind of going against our boy Heisenberg, which means that she's automatically bad in our books. But she's also being good by protecting him, but still bad. So,
There's a lot of mental workload.
bad but good, and good is bad. Good, bad.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Nice
Episode
dude.
7. Skylar insists that the expensive car needs to be returned to the dealership. Okay, Heisenberg has clearly misheard this instruction because he's currently blowing the car up. You're so silly, Heisenberg. He then goes to Jesse's house to convince him to kill Gus because clearly Gus is trying to turn them against each other. So Heisenberg
Yeah, which
makes
episode
some
was it?
rice
When Gus
to
died.
poison Gus and they store it in a cigarette. Jesse then gets a slim window of a chance to apply the poison to Gus's coffee, but he wasn't quick enough. Meanwhile, Hank is still hooked on the scent of the chicken shop and finds a way to get Gus's fingerprints. The theme of this episode, kids, is picking on Gus. Hank brings this case to the big cheese at the DEA and gets some eyebrows twitching.
Hank, no offense, but I think you're really reaching.
What are Gustavo Fring's fingerprints? Doing in Gail Bedeker's apartment.
Episode 8. Gus is getting deep fried by the DEA's questions, but being the devious devil he is, he has an answer for everything they throw at him. Hank is now like a dog with a Gus-shaped bone, and he
Of course,
refuses
he
to let
has
this
the
case
answer
go.
to everything.
So he asks for Heisenberg's help to drive him to different stakeout locations, and of course he can't refuse because it would be damn suspicious. We also get a flashback to a young and uncrippled Hector Salamanca, who shoots Gus's business partner. So now we understand why these two hate each other so much. Also keep this guy in mind because Gus is going to kill him later in his revenge scene. A scene which is pretty damn great and I can't wait to see it again. Episode 9. Ted comes in to see Skylar, but this Teddy ain't here for a stuffing session today. He's here to warn her that the IRS are looking into his finances, which is a real problem because she was in the business when he was cooking the books. And for obvious reasons, she can't have the IRS snooping around her life right now. So she acts and dresses like a dumb bimbo for the IRS meeting, so they just think she's a lousy accountant that Ted hired because he wanted to diddle her.
Right, Teddy?
Skylar says now you've avoided jail, you should probably pay the IRS. But Ted says, nah, I like having this new car. It's Jesse's turn for dinner at Gus's house, giving him the perfect opportunity to poison him, but he gets caught up in a conversation about Gus's intentions. Later, Heisenberg says, what the hell, you didn't kill him, you didn't defend my honor, and now you must pay the price with your blood.
Oke, itu musik memang dramatik.
Episode 10. Jesse gets flown out to a dusty warehouse in Mexico so Gus can teach the cartel how to make his product. An agreement he wasn't too keen on, but one shootout later and he says okie dokie. But secretly he senses an opportunity, for the kingpin of the cartel is that guy I told you to keep in mind. So the kingpin thinks Gus has returned to celebrate this joint business venture where they will share the production of the blue meth recipe. But Gus is not the sharing type, unless it comes to poison.
This one is super good.
Hey, you still with us? Get us out of here, kid.
Episode 11. So Gus is currently in bed with an icky tummy and Mike is injured from the fleeing gunfight. When Gus recovers, he talks about replacing Heisenberg, but Jesse states his loyalty. If he kills Heisenberg, he gets no cook from Jesse. Skylar tries again to get Ted to pay his taxes, but he's still not willing to be a good boy and play ball. So Skylar tells Saul Goodman to get on
Just pay the goddamn tax.
Saul sends in Bill Burr and a hefty guy named Hill to threaten Ted, who then tries to flee the scene and almost ends up getting his neck snapped in half. Hank asks Heisenberg to go on another stakeout, but this time he tries to get him to drive into the laundry place. With some hasty last-minute decision making, he crashes the car instead. So Hank will finally take the hint that he doesn't want to keep doing this. Gus kidnaps Heisenberg and takes him into the desert, and says he won't kill him, but he's never to return to his lab again. Knowing that he's probably going to kill him anyway, Heisenberg asks Saul to get him and his family taken off the grid, because of course Saul Goodman knows a guy who can do that sort of thing. However, new identities for the whole family is going to cost Heisenberg all the money he's storing in the crawl space. When he goes home to find Skylar has given away all his money to Ted to pay the IRS, we get one of the most iconic scenes in TV history.
The scream. It's so good. It's a meme, right? Nice.
Episode 12. As a favour to Heisenberg,
Saul
gets in an anonymous tip that the cartel have put a hit out on Hank. So in this episode, we see the whole family being escorted to Hank's house, while Heisenberg hangs back to wait for his impending death. Speaking of impending death, Jesse's lover's son is in hospital because he's been poisoned. Jesse then discovers his ricin cigarette is missing from the pack, and in a fit of rage,
the ricin from Heisenberg.
He's wrong, because what possible reason would Heisenberg
That kind of
have for
sucks.
poisoning a child? But he's right, because it totally was him, because he wanted Jesse to think it was Gus's way of getting Jesse to kill Heisenberg. Now that Jesse has been tricked into being on his side, Heisenberg creates a remote bomb and then plants it under Gus's car. Mysteriously, Gus is able to smell foul play in the air and decides not to get in the car.
No, don't go, don't go, don't go, don't go! No!
Episode 13. So there's a bit of cat and mouse action happening here between Heisenberg and Gus, until Heisenberg gets the idea to lure Gus to
this is
Salamanca.
amazing.
What, you say? Why would Hector help out this guy who is indirectly responsible for the death of his nephew Tuco? It's for revenge. Revenge is the only thing fueling this hateful old bugger's heart. Hector gets the nurse to set up a meeting with the DEA,
This is amazing.
attention. He pays Hector one last visit to make him pay for being a blabbermouth. But what Gus doesn't realise is that Hector didn't say anything to the DEA other than suck my ding dong.
I'm just so sorry.
Well, at least this time he didn't shit himself. Guess that's progress.
When Gus goes to inject Hector with his death juice, Hector gives him the most iconic death stare in TV history.
Ah, here comes. Ting, 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 ting. Yeah.
Also,
Oh, just comes back.
The most iconic half your face blown off before death, where the guy
Damn
straightens his tie to die with dignity death scene ever. Heisenberg and Jesse finish off Gus's henchmen and burn every last bit of evidence, or so they believe. Series 5, Episode 1. The series opens with a homeless looking Heisenberg, and I mean that quite literally. He looks lost and without a home.
52, nice.
It's my birthday.
So what's happened to him? And also, why does he have an M60 in his car? Well, we're not going to find out until the end of the series.
He lives in some service region or something.
On the wall. And that camera was being recorded by Gus's laptop, which is currently being collected by the police as evidence. Heisenberg realises this too, just when he thinks it's all over.
Oh, shit.
Mike is a little unhappy that Heisenberg killed off his boss, but unfortunately they have to find a way to work together, as that camera footage will make them prison buddies if they can't find a way to destroy it. Which they do, by using a giant amplified magnet concealed in a van.
Yeah, that did it! Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
Ring, Gustavo. Samsung laptop computer damaged. Glass screen is broken and in pieces.
Skylar visits
Yeah,
Ted
this
in
have just
hospital
skipped
so she can apologise for indirectly
hard
turning
drive,
him into a
RAM.
but at least he's learnt his lesson. Episode 2. Some German guy is eating hash browns and looking like he wants to die soon. A wish he promptly grants himself when he realises the DEA are in his office. This guy was the head of the fast food division for Madrigal, the parent company.
Yeah, I didn't remember watching this.
One of the other members of his crime family is a
Now I remember her.
Lydia. She handles the logistics side of Gus's business. With the operations team falling apart, Lydia wants Mike to get rid of some of these smaller time connections so they don't crack under the pressure when they're questioned by the police. And when Mike refuses this request, Lydia puts out a hit on him, which doesn't go too well.
Chris. Are you ready?
This is Mike.
Mike then breaks into her house to do a reverse Uno and kill her, but he changes his mind when he realises she can get her hands on some methlamine, which is super good timing because he wants in on Heisenberg and Jesse's plan to carry on cooking. Mike handles the business, they handle the cooking. Episode 3. Saul helps the Best Buddies crew find a new place to cook in a montage of silly suggestions. This one's too wet, this one's a health hazard, and this one is too lame. But this pest control business is just right.
It's perfect.
They decide to use people's houses which are being fumigated, which means each cook will be in a new location, and the funny smells can be attributed to cockroach death. Here they meet Todd, who is supposed to be a silent worker in the background. Todd is paid to get on with his job and ignore the cooking, but this guy gets chatty real soon because he's going to play a role in this story later on. Skylar is having yet another breakdown, feeling trapped by enabling Heisenberg's business. And again, say what you want about her character, but Anna can act.
Force your employees to breathe secondhand smoke. I know for a fact that is illegal.
Marie! Shut up!
What? I'm sorry. Please don't speak to me like that. I am simply saying that you
Will
can't
you shut up?
Hey.
Shut the hell up. Please
Shut up!
Stop. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Episode 4. Oh, come on, Skylar. Now you're just being dramatic.
Come on.
Get out of the pool, you moody moo cow. It's Heisenberg's birthday. He was in a pretty good mood up until this point. He got himself a new car and decided to buy Junior yet another sports car, but this time it's on a lease to raise less questions with the IRS. But Skylar's like, yeah, I'm gonna drown myself anyway. Hank and Marie agree to look after the kids until she unscrambles her reggy brain.
This is your brain. And this is
Walter White.
This is what happens to your brain after
Walter White.
Episode 5. Mike is still not convinced that Lydia is batting for the right side, as he suspects she deliberately planted a tracking device on a barrel of methlamine, making it look like her position is compromised and can no longer be a part of this deal. To find out the truth, Heisenberg pulls a sneaky on Hank by planting a bug on his office phone, and they listen in to find out if the police planted the bug, confirming her innocence. When they do find out she's innocent, they still consider killing her because she's been nothing but annoying so far. I know how I can be less annoying, Lydia says. How about I show you a route of a train carrying methlamine so you can hijack it? Nice one, they all say. So they draw up a plan to swap the methlamine for an equal amount of water so the stolen product goes for longer undetected.
Go, go, go.
You try to shot someone or something.
It was a close call, but they managed to pull off the heist. But then something really bad happens.
And this guy's absolutely insane.
Todd is back on the scene, helping out with the heist. And earlier, Jesse and Heisenberg stated that no one is allowed to witness this crime. And where Todd is such a loyal soldier...
Oh no, this is the scene. He's just insane person.
The episode opens with one of the most somber scenes in the entire
He's a psychopath, that's for
where they all
sure.
realise that despite Todd being the one who pulled the trigger, they were all just involved in the death of a kid. The music in this scene fits the emotion perfectly. Now back to the light-hearted stuff. The DEA are sniffing around Mike, who's done his fair share of sniffing about in his days, so he knows when a fellow bloodhound is nearby. He leaves them a little note to say, well done, but try harder. Mike is tired of being chased about, and Jesse is broken up about the kid being shot, so they both tell Heisenberg they're out of the business. They try and sell their share of the methlamine, but the buyer won't seal the deal until they can guarantee that Heisenberg's product is out of circulation. Jesse comes round to convince Heisenberg to sell out and enjoy his retirement. Only the problem is, Heisenberg already sold out once before, as he watched his friends make millions from his science business. So he's not going to allow that to happen again. It's my turn to be player 1. He gets to use the good controller this time, and not the dusty, disgusting one that you always give to your friend. Skylar comes home to see them talking business, and Heisenberg insists that Jesse stays for dinner. The most uncomfortable silent dinner since your dad walked in on you jacking off that one time. I mean to say that he caught you jacking off before dinner, not that you were jacking off
make
at the
goodbye.
table. The
I
point
was
of this
there.
dinner is to show Jesse
We
that
should continue
Heisenberg
on.
has essentially lost everything already. His family is all broken up, and the only thing he has left is his business. Mike tries to force him to sell his share and ties him up to ensure that he won't run off with it. But he escapes his binds using some good old-fashioned science and a good tolerance for electrical burns. And then he stashes the methylamine somewhere secret. Mike returns and holds a gun at him yet again, but Jesse tells him to wait yet again because Heisenberg has a proposal. Another proposal. Episode 7. Heisenberg negotiates on a scenario where they will sell his product, pay off Mike, and Jesse gets to keep on cooking with him, even though Jesse clearly said he's out about 5 minutes ago. Someone's having a senior moment. He can't even remember his name, bless him. He has to ask this guy who he just met.
Say my name.
You what?
This guy.
I don't have a damn clue who the hell you are.
Yeah, you do. I'm Gus Fring. Say my name.
Heisenberg.
You're goddamn right.
Jesse
Nice.
reminds Grandpa one last time
Is
that
there
he no
another
longer
name?
wants to cook with him.
So many names on
he's
this.
left with no option but to enlist Kid Killer Todd, a guy who knows naff all about chemistry, but he can follow instructions real good. With the help of a trusty lawyer, Mike banks the last of his earnings before destroying the evidence of his crimes. So later when the DEA turn over his house, they find bugger all. Hank is then told by his boss that he no longer has the budget for investigating Mike, and he finds a loophole by investigating Mike's lawyer instead, who quickly gets caught in the act depositing money.
Hey. Hey.
You just gotta love that smug smile. The police roll up to arrest Mike and he flees the scene, which isn't a good look as a shady man hanging around a playground. With Mike on the run and his lawyer being questioned, Heisenberg really needs to find the list of names that Mike was paying to keep quiet. But Mike knows all too well if he gives Heisenberg those names, they will be killed off. And plus, he doesn't owe Heisenberg any favours because he's the guy who messed up Mike's tidy life. He had a good thing going with Gus and he ruined it all. To add salt to the wound, Heisenberg then shoots him in the stomach. He bleeds out by the water's edge with one last request.
This whole thing could have been avoided.
Shut the fuck up. Let me die.
Man, this is just dying right there.
He
Yeah.
was pretty great. Episode 8. Failing to get the list from Mike, Heisenberg meets with Lydia, who agrees to give him the list if he agrees to supply his product to the Czech Republic. With the list of names in hand, he asks Todd's uncle to take out the prisoners. Todd's uncle is somewhat of a veteran criminal, and he also has a tattoo of a half-finished window on his neck, so you know he's probably not a nice guy. Skylar has one last trick up her sleeve to convince him to leave the meth game for good, by showing him the fat pile of cash that she's been saving up for them. And finally, he agrees that enough is enough. He gives Jesse the money which he owes him, but Jesse considers it blood money and doesn't want to be around it.
You just give me my money and you and we're done.
Heisenberg's family return to normal, hosting barbecues and doing sick drifts around a pool. All is going well until Hank needs a dump.
Oh, no,
he
no.
finds an interesting book,
That's
to
this.
read, a gift for WW and signed by
Now he knows.
WW. I mean, who you figure that is? Yeah? Woodrow Wilson? Walter White?
Episode 9. The
You got
episode
me.
opens with a flash forward to Heisenberg's house, dilapidated and abandoned. Heisenberg sneaks in to collect the rice in which he stashed away for a rainy day. But who is he going to try and use it on this time? Rewind back to the present, and Hank is having a slight mental malfunction over the idea of his brother-in-law being the person he was hunting all along, and also the person who almost got him killed a few times. Yeah, I think my heart would kick itself in the groin too. He goes home and starts compiling evidence, because right now he doesn't have any solid evidence that Walter is Heisenberg. While Heisenberg has his head down the same hole that Hank's ass was sitting on not long ago, he notices that his favourite book is missing, and before long realises who took it. He confronts Hank, who turns Alpha Gorilla on him.
This is one punch, that's it.
He argues that Hank would be wasting his time to investigate him because his cancer has returned, giving him only 6 months to live.
Rotten, you son of a bitch.
Which he claims isn't enough time for Hank to get the evidence he needs. Hank stares blankly like he's looking at an imposter, a stranger wearing Walter's skin.
If you don't know who I am, maybe your best course would be to tread lightly.
Episode 10. Hank tries to get Skylar to reveal all, but she's only just got her family back. She's not prepared to allow it to all fall apart again. In a flying panic, Heisenberg arranges for Hugh and Bill Burr to collect his mattress of money, so he can go bury it somewhere in the desert. Meanwhile, Skylar is having a second kind of questioning from her sister Marie. When it becomes clear that Skylar has known about this for a while, she gets a good slap. Understandable. Back to Lydia and her dealings with the cartel. For some reason, she hires the far-right whack jobs to take out the cartel. I don't really understand why she would do this. I think maybe she just sees them as an unnecessary cog in her wheel. It's not that important. Let's get back to the cool characters. Episode 11. Jesse is being questioned by Hank because he was caught chucking millions of dollars around town in a desperate attempt to separate himself from the blood money. But at this point, he doesn't have the right motivation to talk. Maybe if he realised that Heisenberg did in fact poison Brock.
Why didn't you... Stop! The ricin cigarettes!
The Ryzen, he knows.
And all for that asshole Mr. Waits! He poisoned Brock!
This is my 4th time watching this series in its entirety, and I'm still not exactly sure how we came to this realisation. And it kind of just feels convenient that he would realise this just before he's about to leave town forever. Heisenberg's justification for why Gus would poison the kid still holds true, so why would Jesse second guess it? Heisenberg comes up with a genius plan to give his confession on tape, where he frames Hank as being the main man of the operation.
Hank has been building a meth empire for over a year now and using me as his chemist. Recently, I tried once again to quit, and in response, he gave me this.
This is a great idea, but the problem is the show forgets about this, and the idea to frame him is never brought up again. I guess the writers realised what a checkmate this would have been, making it impossible for Hank to report this to the DEA.
That's the last nail. That's the last nail in the coffin.
But maybe I'm missing something here. Episode 12. We're on the last 5 episodes, and things get pretty dark from here on. It's going to be hard to crack jokes, especially during scenes of domestic violence, or watching Heisenberg kidnap his own daughter who cries out for her mummy. Oh, what joyful times we're going to have. In this episode, we see the reason why Jesse decided not to burn down Heisenberg's house. It's because Hank arrived on scene and convinced him not to go ahead with it, instead suggesting that they work together to take down Heisenberg.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
I can safely say he deserved all of these awards. He reveals some information to Hank and one other member of the DEA. See, Hank's already forgotten about that damning videotape. Hank watches over Jesse as Heisenberg begs to meet him so he can find out what's going on. But Jesse backs down, suspecting that Heisenberg's gonna take him out.
Nice try, asshole.
This is just a heads up to let you know I'm coming for you. See, I decided that burning down your house is nothing.
Next time I'm gonna get you where you really live.
Jesse, listen.
Episode 13. Hank and Jesse set up a fake photo so they can convince Hill that Heisenberg is on a killing spree, and that Hill's going to be next unless he tells them about the money he helped transport. With the little information Hill gives, they're able to set up another fake photo pretending they found a barrel of money.
Listen to me.
No, you listen to me, bitch. You get your ass out here as fast as you can.
Yes, I'm coming. Okay, okay.
So when he turns up to stop Jesse from burning all of his money,
I think this is where
he's
him
been tracked. In his desperation, he calls
going
Jack and
away.
his plan to come bearing arms and kill Jesse. But when he realizes that Hank is helping him, he calls them off. Well, it looks like Jack and the clan felt like coming anyway. After all, they did already suit up and cock their guns, so somebody has to die. Did someone sleep with this show and make it pregnant? Because it's about to get heavy. Episode 14. Gomez has been shot dead, and Hank will be too unless Heisenberg can convince Jack not to. He even offers Jack all of the money which he had stashed in the ground, but as Hank rightly says,
You're the smartest guy I ever met. And you're too stupid to see. He made up his mind 10 minutes ago. Do what you're gonna do.
It's over.
After the killing spree, they decide to steal Heisenberg's money anyway, and he knows there's nothing he can do about it. But there is one thing the clan still owe him, and that's Jesse Pinkman.
No! Get off me!
Todd has an idea. Instead of killing Jesse and putting him out of his misery, they can keep him locked up in a dank pit and use him to make meth for them. Todd is so evil,
to
he
continue,
reminds me of
huh?
the woodland critters from South Park.
There could still be survivors out there. We need to hunt them down and kill them. But first we should rape them! How about we kill them and then rape their bodies so we can use their blood as lubricant?
Let's hang a picture of the only two people he has left in his life, so he knows he has to cook, otherwise we'll kill them. Yay! Alright, now this scene is pretty brutal to watch. It's Walt Jr. and Skyler confronting Heisenberg about what's going on. He struggles to find the words to explain that Hank is dead.
You killed Hank.
What? No.
You killed
No! I tried to save him!
I'm not going to play much of this scene because it's pretty heartbreaking.
What the hell is wrong with you? We're a family!
It's all pretty grim. Heisenberg is about to lose his family, so he takes his daughter away. And Skyler is screaming, crying, and running after the car in the most emotionally impactful scene I've ever seen in my life.
Please stop! Walt!
Heisenberg realises that he can't take Holly with him on the run, so he leaves her at a fire station before leaving town forever. But not really forever. Episode 15. Heisenberg gets a new identity as Mr. Lambert, but he's not really Mr. Lambert for very long, so I'm going to carry on calling him Heisenberg. The man who's helping him to change identity says he has to stay in this remote cabin for a good few months until the manhunt cools down. Of course he breaks this rule in about the second day, but we'll come back to that. Back in New Mexico, Jesse tries and fails to escape the compound, so the clan kill his lover in front of him.
Jesus, stop.
Jesus Christ. Heisenberg tries his best to give the last of his remaining money to his family before he dies, but Walt Jr. hates his guts and refuses to help.
Why are you still alive? Why don't you just die already? Just die.
Again, understandable, leaving him with no point of contact to transfer the money to his family. He then sees his old business partners Elliot and Gretchen talking smack about him, and the episode ends with him leaving the bar abruptly to go do something about it.
To give money to his family.
We're at the finale, and if you're still watching this, you're an absolute alpha. Heisenberg sneaks into Elliot and Gretchen's swanky home, and you can see how empty he feels observing the fruits of their success, knowing that they owe their success to him. On top of the fact that he's about to die without a family and a dirty legacy as an insane criminal drug lord. He tells them to give his money to Walt Jr. on his 18th birthday, and if they don't, he has 2 hired guns who will take them out. The hired guns turn out to be Badger and Skinny Pete with laser pens. It was great to see them again before the end. Being that this is Heisenberg's swan song, he wants to exit tying up loose ends wherever he could, starting with Jack and the clan. He's rigged the M60 in the back of his car, ready to shoot at the press of a button, taking everyone out in the process as he pulls Jesse down to the ground to save him. One of the bullets hits Heisenberg, and as Jesse contemplates killing him, he realises he's going to die anyway, so why put him out of his misery, especially considering everything he's done to him. Heisenberg walks around their lab, appreciating the familiar sights of the one hobby that made him the rightful king of chemistry for a brief chapter in his life. Some people were upset that he died here, but I couldn't think of a better way to end his story. He got the revenge he wanted, and he went out rescuing someone who he
ran out with all
that's
this.
the story of Breaking Bad. It's a series so
Sending
influential on my enthusiasm for TV and film that it formed a part of my online persona. Of course, I'm nothing like this character, but I can relate to wanting to be known for something other than my day job, a place I'm contractually obliged to sacrifice many years of my life, all the while wishing I was spending them being an entertainer. Every one of you watching this right now is helping me reach that one step closer to being the person I dream of.
It's
So
nice.
like this video,
Yes,
subscribe to my channel,
I'm better than this will be well put together with the video.